Support comes from the Janice Hawkins Cultural Arts Park on the main campus of Troy University, featuring the International Arts Center, the Fred Nall Hollis Museum, and the Hua Baoju Gallery. More information at troy.edu/artspark.
I'm Kate Nesbitt, and this is The Rounds, a podcast where nursing professionals, community leaders, and nursing faculty share stories and practical advice for current and future nurses of all specialties.
Welcome to the Pitt.
We got 2 traumas from the T. 5 minutes out.
Okay, copy that. Actually, this is the most important person that you're going to meet today. This is Dana. She's our charge nurse. She is the ringleader of our circus. Do what she says when she says it.
The HBO series The Pitt made headlines when it premiered earlier this year. The show is fiction, but it's gotten a lot of attention and a lot of praise for its accuracy in depicting what it's actually like to work in an emergency room. I'm joined today by nursing student Brooke Mosley.
Hi, everybody. Today on The Rounds, real-life ER charge nurse Cody Burgamy will tell us what he thought of the show as well as the strangest case he's seen come through the emergency room doors.
So you're ER nurse and you're also a paramedic. Both are like kind of a fast-paced job.
Mm-hmm.
Is there something that kind of keeps you calm in that fast pace, or is there?
I would say that's the only time I am calm. Any other time outside of there, I'm a ball of energy, I guess. When the chaos is going, that's kind of my comfort place.
Sure, happy place.
It is. It's weird to say that, but I'm the calmest person in the room most of the time, and I take pride on that.
Is there any, because to me, paramedics and nurses do so much that are so similar. Is there any, differences for that?
There is. Paramedic has a lot of responsibility, and they kind of are on their own. But a nurse is much more thorough and in-depth, whereas a paramedic is right here, right now. We're going to fix it. We're going to get it stabilized. And they're the best at what they do. And nurses just, they have a little bit more as far as the whole encompassing care. Being a paramedic is not always the easiest thing on the house.
It's hard on a body.
I don't know how I did it for years. I really don't.
My husband's a flight nurse, and I can tell you right out, his knees are shot.
Yeah.
Just gone.
Absolutely. And, he's been doing it for a while, too. So he knows, and it'll wear on you. It really will. It is physically demanding when it has to be. So you got to be prepared for that. But also, it takes a toll on your home life. Those 24-hour shifts or 48-hour shifts. I don't know how in the world I did it for so many years, but I did.
Do you have any? Obviously, you're a male nurse. Has there been any stereotypes that you've been placed in that people are kind of misconstruing or we're not as nurturing, so to speak, if that makes sense. And it's just a natural thing. The comfort, support side of nursing, there are people who are extremely good at that. And it is a very important part of nursing, especially on the rehab side, the long-term care side. That comfort care nursing, that supportive care that's very important. It's just not my strong suit. And I don't think it's very many male nurses' strong suits, unfortunately, but that's kind of a natural thing. There's some that it absolutely is, and they're great at that. But for me, that's just not my strong suit. I'm the nurse you want when you have a heart attack or a stroke or a wreck. But the long-term supportive care and all that, I'm just not the greatest at that. And there's a stereotype as far as male goes that we're not, as comforting. That's probably true, unfortunately. And I try to be conscious of that as a male, and try to, be nice to everyone, as nice as I can be, for sure.
Were there any extra challenges or any differences you saw back when you were in nursing school as a male student? I know personally we started with 4 in our cohort, and now we're down to 1. It is more of a female predominance.
It is, absolutely. I was the only male in my class. There was, I think, 16 of us, and I was the only male. So I can't tell you why, but it is, like I said, the natural kind of masculine thing is not always, you're not always able to do that in nursing. You kind of got to show the softer side.
I know I love the boys in our cohort because when it comes to moving a patient or something, they're the
You got
first
to.
ones. I'm like, I need y'all. I can't.
Absolutely. And,
Brooke, you're also like 4 foot tall.
That's true.
Okay,
That's true.
good. Still.
And males, especially in the ER, they're extremely important for.
Yes.
I mean, we get combative patients and every day, psychiatric patients, and you would not believe what pulls up to the front door of that place. That very much should have called 911. That they just didn't want to, so they just pull up to the front door, and it's when you're 4 foot tall, that's kind of hard to pull somebody out of a car that's 5 foot tall or above. So it takes a team, and a lot of times, I'll tell people I don't get a bonus for being a man, but you know what? I have a responsibility, as in my responsibility in my job to take care of patients. So if that means I have to step up and be the one to go get that patient out of the car, then I got to. But also, that means someone else who can't lift as good as me is going to have to come up behind me and help me with my stuff. So it's a team atmosphere, and everyone has their responsibility.
I know that for emergency medicine, the worst question you can get is like, what's the worst thing you've ever seen? What's the weirdest thing you've ever seen?
Well, I was at work one day. It was about 9:45 in the morning, and the registration clerk calls me. I'm at the charge nurse spot, and she said, "Hey, there's a lady at my desk, and she has a meat grinder on her hand." I said, "Huh? I'm gonna come up there and see what that's about." So I went up there, and sure enough, she brought the whole meat grinder and everything with her, and so we had to get that to the bed pretty quickly.
She walked in with it?
She pulled up to the front door with it.
I think that's a thing that you call 911 for.
Yeah, absolutely. So she ended up having a nice flight to a specialty center, and they were able to save her hand, all of her fingers, actually, and her entire hand, which was a miracle. But we had to put her and that meat grinder on the helicopter quickly to get her hand taken care of. But as far as weirdness goes, that was one I can recall that is vivid, very much so.
Was there something that you had to learn once you got into the emergency room that maybe nursing school didn't teach you that you were just like, whoa, wasn't ready for that?
I could go on about that for days. Like I said, there's no replacement for real-world clinicals and things like that. You learn something every day, and it's the day that you say, I'm not going to learn anything else, is the day you need to move on. And that's for people's safety. You got to stay on top of it and keep your education going. Specifically, I mean, nursing school don't teach you how to fight people.
It's not.
And that you got to fight people in a respectful way, and it can be difficult. You have to realize that people aren't in their right minds. They're not after you specifically. They're not after you personally. And so that's kind of how I have to think about it. And if I had to say one thing, that's probably it, is fight people respectfully. We have to do that in the ER every day, unfortunately. We have to keep people from hurting themselves, and we also have to keep them from hurting us. It's an art form that you kind of have to learn. There's no way to teach that.
I watched a takedown at a psych clinical one day, and my jaw was on the floor for 30 minutes. I was like,
there's no way to put that in a book.
You want me to do...
Yeah.
Okay.
And every person is different. Every drug that they take is different. Every brain is different. And so the reaction is different.
I know here on campus we have, especially for the students who are going through their emergency medicine, emergency nurse kind of rotation, that they do a simulation here on campus. There's various different things. As being someone who's been a paramedic and now a nurse and also a flight nurse, is there any advice you'd give to students who are going through that or who are looking to be in the ER after they graduate?
Absolutely. Don't take simulations lightly. being a paramedic and a nurse, I did very little simulations as a paramedic when I should have done a lot more. We didn't get that opportunity, but definitely should have. They kind of threw me to the wolves at 23 years old with a paramedic license. I had it for a total of 7 minutes before I had my first 911 call as a paramedic lead in Montgomery, and it was a psych patient that was combative. From that point, I realized I didn't know what I was doing, and I really thought I did, fresh out of school, which was insane. But I had to learn very quickly over the years, and there's no replacement for that experience, but those simulations can add so much to your muscle memory, to your routine, and it makes it where you don't even have to think about it. You got a patient that comes in with, you suspect having a stroke. Well, you get a 12 lead, you get an IV, you get a Foley catheter, you get all this automatically right out of the gate. So you pretty much have this patient's entire hands-on care done within 10 minutes of arrival. You wanted a CT within 15. So you have all their blood work, their CTs, their meds, everything's done within 15 minutes of their arrival. And you can't do that just not knowing how and not being in a routine. And those simulations can be extremely important for that.
What are some differences between, other nurses in the ER and you as a charge nurse?
Mainly responsibilities and where our head's at. When I'm a charge nurse, I'm looking at everything. I'm looking at, the rooms, what needs to be done on the patients. Then we have our assigned nurses, which run 4 rooms apiece, and we have 3 of those. And so you have a charge nurse, a triage nurse, and 3 primary nurses on day shift in our current ER. Their responsibility, that triage nurse is constantly should be available to intake patients. They're going to run the front of the hospital, basically. Your primary nurses, they have to be responsible for those rooms. So me as a charge nurse, I have to make sure that they're covering their rooms appropriately. And I also kind of manage the logistical aspect of their patient's care, as far as transfers or admits and things like that. I'm going to, figure out where the patient needs to go and get them where they need to go so the primary nurse can focus on patient care. And that's kind of how I run things. I run it very hard, and that doesn't make me always the most popular person. But I promise you, your loved one will be taken care of when I'm in charge. I take pride in that.
So, Cody, I have to ask you about the Pitt.
That show's awesome. So
I love it.
From a medical person standpoint, I will say, especially in emergency care, as far as the what we face and the obstacles of mass casualty incidents and social things, as far as parents and kids and things like that, it is very real. And the medicine that they practiced in that was extremely real. And I've even all the ER doctors at Troy, I've gotten them to watch it, and they're all into it. So Noah Wiley, he was actually the lead speaker at the National Trauma Conference here last month, which is pretty cool. And he's advocating basically for medical professionals, because it's a federal offense if you attack a police officer or if you attack a postal worker or a trash engineer or anything like that. It's a federal offense. It's not if you attack a nurse or a doctor. And that's a problem. And that's something that he's kind of advocating for us for. That's pretty cool. But as far as that show goes, I support it.
I know that the show itself focuses mainly on him as an ER doctor in, the Pitt and everything. But did you feel that the charge nurse was accurately...
Yeah, absolutely. It was pretty hilarious because the first episode, the doctor comes in and he tells the other doctors, hey, this is the charge nurse, listen to her. And, ultimately at the end of the day, we have to listen to the doctor. And I'm going to. But, it was pretty cool that they started with that. And a lot of the physicians that come into our facility kind of know who to lean on. And it's pretty cool to see that from an outside standpoint illustrated. And especially her kind of management, overseeing the whole thing instead of just one patient. You never really saw her specifically with one patient. She was kind of everywhere and throughout the whole department.
It felt like she was, and it sounded like earlier, you're a traffic cop. Like you've got to know every direction that's coming.
Absolutely.
And both ways where cars are coming or going on both
That
areas.
is a very good representation of what we do. A traffic cop. Herding cats.
Herding cats.
Yeah, that's what I usually say. In our ER here, we only have 10 beds. We have 10 beds and we have 2 fast track rooms. So, when you get 10 patients that sign in within an hour, you're full. And managing that is an art form. And you have to do it right then and right there.
I can't imagine. Brooke, have you ever watched The Pitt?
I have not. I was hoping y'all did not ask because I was going to embarrass myself.
Oh,
Not embarrass you. I mean, you.
But let me give my reasoning behind it.
Nursing school, that's the reason. Yeah, you don't watch TV. I get
You don't want to scare yourself out of this.
But prior to coming into nursing school, I loved the Grey's Anatomy, The Good Doctor, all that.
Yeah.
And then I got into school and I started actually learning. I'm like, that's not right.
No, it's not. Not
and
at all.
so I kind of just stopped watching
I can't do
medical
it.
shows because they would just make me mad.
I can't watch it, but simply because the person sitting next to me
I was about
is
to say.
constantly
I could see it
nope,
all
that's
day,
not how
yeah.
we do it. But when I'm telling you, when me and Jake sat down, I was like, I really want to watch this. He's like, oh, I'm so excited to watch it. He loved ER when he was really young.
I did too.
The whole entire premise of it, and he was like, I've heard great things. I want to sit down and do it. There were just like, when I say tiny, minuscule details that he was like, that's not perfect, but I'm okay with it.
Yeah, and that you're right. That was how I felt, and that's how ER doctors feel watching it, to the point to where our ER doctors here noticed some inefficiencies in our department and has brought it to administration's attention because of that show. In the mass casualty incident scenario in that show displayed some needs in our area that is very real that we need to be prepared for, and we're not. And that was pretty cool as well.
And they even talk about like they have certain people coming in from nursing homes and care facilities because this is when shift change happens. And that kind of thing was kind of interesting to see that it's not. I mean, ER for me is emergency medicine. So there's a lot of emergencies, but there's a lot of people who come in at scheduled times.
Yeah.
Because that's their only option is just to call an ambulance.
It is, absolutely. Every single day. In our area, and really everywhere, the ER is the dumping ground. We just kind of absorb everything that, these primary cares and specialty cares can't take. But, people have a problem that needs to be managed, and so we kind of absorb all of that.
One of my former professors worked in the ER at Troy for a little while, and she would talk about how she's like, we'd have people come in 2 to 3 times a week just because they needed food and water, and we were the only place they knew to go. And she's like, everybody else is kind of wanting to run them out, and I'm like, no, they need, we are here to care for people.
Yeah, and
Why would you not?
Those people are oftentimes they're pretty nice. They're pretty nice people. Yeah. They get a terrible rap because they're regulars. And a lot of times it's they need a sandwich. And you know what? If a sandwich fixes them, I will make them a sandwich all day. Yeah. Doesn't matter what position. We had a elderly dementia patient, and he was had fallen out of the bed, and he was fine. There's no injuries. We checked him out, did X-ray. It was all good, and he was hungry. This guy was extremely ornery when he got to us. It was really mean to us. And so, the doctor's like, well, I don't know why he's being mean to me, but, oh well. And so the guy was like, can I get something to eat? Sure. Well, he said, you got any ice cream? I don't think I can find some ice cream. So I went and got him up some ice cream, and the doctor overheard me. And so I went in there with the ice cream, and this elderly man lit up like a Christmas tree. And that doctor cut his ice cream up for him, stirred it up, and so he could eat it, and he ate every bit of that ice cream, and he was as nice as he could be after that. It was pretty cool to see that, to see him going in there and cutting up that ice cream for him. Specifically, he'd probably kill me if you heard me say that, but he tries to put up, hard exterior, and the good leaders do. And so for him to show that soft side was hilarious.
Well, thank you for joining us on the rounds,
No
Cody.
problem.
So we've really enjoyed your company and all of the insight you've been able to give us.
Thank you. I appreciate it very much.
Well, we've come full circle on this episode of The Rounds. We want to thank our guest, ER charge nurse Cody Burgamy, but before we go, don't be afraid to press that call button. Record a voice memo with your question for our guests and send it to kross120311@troy.edu. It can be anything from, how do I get started in nursing, to why does it hurt when I do this? Quick disclaimer, nothing you hear on The Round should be considered medical advice. If you have a serious medical question, please ask your doctor.
You can stay up to date on new episodes of The Rounds by subscribing on the podcast platform of your choice. And be sure to share with the nurse or nursing student in your life. The Rounds is recorded in the studios of Troy Public Radio and is produced by Austin Toy, Kate Nesbitt, and the College of Health Sciences at Troy University.
So, until next time, I'm Kate.
And I'm Brooke.
We'll see you again next month when The Rounds returns.